Hello there, I'm Scotty. You're not. And welcome back to Take Me to the Pilot, where we talk about pilot results of TV shows that either got greenlit, didn't get greenlit, backdoor pilots, all that stuff. Today we're talking about a legendary Lost pilot that was made, shelved, and the show was never made. It's a spin off of a popular Nickelodeon show starring one of the popular characters of the show, now on his own. I'm talking, of course, about the unmade spin-off, the pilot to the unmade spin-off, Gibby. Yeah, so if you don't know, when iCarly was on its way from ending, there were two spin-offs planned. The first was a spin-off centered around Sam, which then was, if you read Jeanette's book, it was forced into being a spin-off of both iCarly and Victorious when they decided they're just going to throw Ariana Grande in there and make it a spin-off. It was supposed to be Sam's own show, and they just shoved her in there. And the other one was a sitcom spin-off centered around Gibby, which was a very popular character of the show. Yeah, and so they were said they're going to do both, and then they just went with Sam and Cat and said, "Fuck you, Gibby!" It was like it. Yeah, it never took off. And I want to stress the content of this episode. You can find it on YouTube. I beg you to find one that works. There are so many where the audio is just fucked up. The audio feels like it's only come from one side of the speaker. It's really weird. I'm sitting here watching. I watched on this TV here. There's a TV behind us. See, TV. I watched TV. That was right in front of me. And well, it was off. It messed with my hearing. I went on my phone trying to find other versions. All of the other versions, the audio was garbled up, and I don't know if it's just something or if people were trying to avoid like copyright with the sound and they had to garble it, because there's a lot of copyrighted music in this, which makes me think that when they were placement songs, and then when the episode actually aired, because they use like, "Hey, I just met you, and this is crazy, so here's my number, call me maybe." They use that in here. There's another one that was popular at the time. Yeah, and the premise of this is that Gibby would befriend four middle schoolers, because he's in high school, and work at a recreation center for kids. And that's the whole thing. There are some things set up. If you were wondering where the weasel from the iCarly finale was going to, what that was for, that was to set up this, as he has his weasel. And, of course, he should not be named uses that many times in the episode to make dick jokes. Gibby has a weasel. I just want to play with my weasel. Oh my god. You have a weasel? Let me get it. Yeah. And the first shot of this pilot after the graphics is that a teacher, who should have been Mr. Howard, by the way, but some random ass teacher got bit by the weasel. And all I can think of is, why was the weasel out of the cage? We see the principal, once again played by Tim Russ, said he's going to give Gibby detention. But then Gibby says he can't do it because he's got a weasel convention, that he is going as Batman and the weasel is Batweasel. Batweeze or something. So he puts him cafeteria duty. And that's where he meets these four kids whose names I do not know. But I swear, one of the kids is that, was it Delbin? The kid who wears the cape and says that he's the landlord's son in Sam and Cat. I swear one of the kids is that one. There's a kid who says he claims to be a robot. There's three boys and a girl. Yeah. And these kids are throwing chicken nuggets, and they do a slow motion of Gibby jumping over and catching a nugget to stop hitting, like it's going to be the worst thing in the world if that chicken nugget hits someone. He's like, thanks for the nugget. Which technically, since someone else did touch it with their hands, but like he didn't touch the floor or nothing. But he's like, thanks for the nugget. He's like, oh, we were just throwing a nugget to those kids. And they, what, these kids? They're my friends. And of course, after that, it's like, they decide to hang around with them. Don't feed grapes to weasels, people. It's too big for the weasel, and it will choke on it. He's like, a grape for the Gibby, and a grape for the weasel. He puts it in his mouth, and the weasel eat it out. And the laugh track goes, aww. But most people are actually thinking, yeah, that's a weasel. That's a rat family. That's diseases. I don't know, it's just pet weasel, but still, it's the idea of those kind of things that carry diseases, you know? So like I say, don't pet possum or possum or, you know. And the one thing I wonder in these, like, I understand that certain cats could be there. You couldn't have gotten Miss Briggs to make a cameo. Like, that teacher at the beginning could have been Mr. Howard. Like, they bring up iCarly, but, like, he's at the school. I mean, no, Freddy stayed in Seattle. He's not at school. Where's he? He should be in the same classes as Gibby, right? We know Sam left. We know Carly left, but Freddy should still be there. Why is Freddy never seen or mentioned? Right? Why is he going to Weasel Convention by himself? Is Carly the only reason he and Freddy hung out? To be fair, they barely bring up Gibby in the revival of iCarly, because the actor quit acting, though they do bring in Guppy. Happy birthday! That character is also not shown here. And it's weird that a Gibby-centric show, which we could see that it's not going to follow his home life, which is weird. He would only be at this place with these 4 kids, which is like, usually you have a home life. We don't get to see his parents. We hadn't met his mom once. His brother's not there. It's just, I felt like they would have need to have expanded had they went to series, but so because he stood up for these kids, they actually think he is their friend, and he wants to go jumping on trampolines with these teenage girls. Hey, that's a teenage mindset. I can't blame you who should not be named, because that's a teenage mindset. You want to see girls jump on trampolines. You ever watch The Man Show? I did. Every episode ended with girls jumping on trampolines. You want to see that shit. That's a teenage mindset, okay? I'm just saying. But, so, no, he decides to go at this place called, I don't know what it's called. It's some hangout place. Like a recreation center for kids, where we meet 2 other characters whose names I do not know. There's this black African-American gentleman, and there's a woman who at one point states that she's 24 years old, but Gibby, who also states that he is 16. Okay, she's like, I'm 24, and I have a boyfriend. And Gibby says, I'm 16, and I have a weasel. Anyway, so there's a recreation center, and the kid's still, like, Gibby's like bored, he's just like sitting there the whole time. They decide to go play Dodgeline, which is something that wouldn't be introduced to this actual universe till Henry Danger, which is dodgeball on a trampoline, which could be very dangerous. I did like this, where they're playing and it's a montage, and at the end, they're still sucking. He's like, normally something like that, you'd start off bad and get better. I did like how they're kind of playing on that trope. Like, they should have got better by the end, but they didn't. And so the other guy comes in and they start playing, but he gets hurt because he decides to jump way too high. And I should point out earlier, these 2 obvious criminals are hanging around just looking around like, can I help you? He's like, no, you can't. And they leave. I'm like, well, they're going to come back. So, so the kids leave. Gibby volunteers to stay and close the place up, but the 2 thugs come back and attack him. The kids return, and the solution to stop them is to be like Gibby and take your shirts off, except for the girl. The girl keeps her shirt on, but the boys, and Gibby, they take their shirts off. And they run these criminals away, and then they hug. Yeah, big group hug with no shirts. This is why it took so long for me to talk about this. Because I'm like, this could have been episode 2, actually, even though I wanted to do My Name is Earl. I watched this like last year, or whatever it was. And I'm like, hey, I could do this. Just take me to the pilot. And I watched it, and I went, I don't want to talk about this shit, man. Because it's just like, this is the stuff that you hear about Dan Schneider. You don't want... I said his name. About he who should not be named. And you don't want to talk about it. And yeah. And I'm not defending this shit. No. In no way, shape, or form. No. But I will point out they are technically all underage. But still. The Gibby was not. The actor Noah Monk was not. But still. The characters. Because Gibby says he's 16. But it's still creepy. See how I fold my arms? I just don't want to. No. And he says, I'm still going to be friends with you. And we'll come back here tomorrow. And yeah. But did they have to have the shirts off? I don't know. I will say, though, had they come out with the show at the time, I would have watched it. Now, I don't know. They would probably have to retool it because he should not be named. Would not be involved. And I do feel part of the reason why Noah Monk left acting is because, he was promised, hey, we're going to do a spinoff, and they're like, nah, we're going to focus on this other thing. So he got screwed, really. And yeah, I could see them doing something like this. Like I said, they would have to establish more. I would want more of his personal life. Like, we can't just have Gibby hanging out with these kids. We need, like, his parents. And everything like that. Like, what if iCarly was this every episode of they did the web show, went to school, went to school. We don't see Carly's house. We don't see anyone else's house. And they just were at school. And then they were doing an iCarly show. And there's no parents. That'd be kind of weird. Right? Though some people would say Mrs. Benson better off not being around. But I don't know. It's it is what it is, I guess. It is what it is, I guess I should say. But, yeah, it definitely has all the marks of he should not be named at that point. I always said that Simon Cat was, like, the worst of everything that he did. Like, you could point to Victorious. That was the start of it getting bad. But there was so much feet in that. And I don't know if there was really feet. I mean, there's a shot of a foot in the opening of Game Shakers. But I feel like by the time you get to during Game Shakers, things got better. But this was just a sign of where it was at the time. Where it was like... Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, it at the time, if it came out when it was supposed to, I would have watched it. I can't even say I'd watch it now because, like, or I wouldn't watch it now because, like, they wouldn't release it now, especially after everything. They wouldn't just say, we're going to do this now. Like, if they were to say, we're actually going to do a Gibby Paramount Plus series, they'd have to retool it. They'd have to. This is also kind of like what people complained with the Joey spinoff from Friends, where it's like, this is not Joey, this is the Flanderized Joey from the end of Friends. This is the version of Gibby. He's not Flanderized by any means because the character was always stupid, but like, this is the jerk. Like, in the last 2 seasons of iCarly, Gibby was an asshole. He was. And this is that character. And you kind of see, maybe they were planning for this. Like, this is where he's going to, because at first he's ready to ditch these kids. But he has a conscience. He's there. It's there. And it's just like, maybe he's going to come back around to being a nice, because he was goofy Gibby, take the shit off, Gibby, And then he just sort of became an asshole in the last 2 seasons, and now maybe he's come back around again. I don't know, but yeah. So, what are your thoughts on the Gibby pilot? Make a comment, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm Sky, and I'll see you in the next one.